You're the worst welder ever. God, you're terrible. Go home. I know I'm bad. I don't know why these people hire me. Oh no, I'm fine. I still got it. All right, here we go. Hello viewers, back at it again. Welcome back to Lift Arc Builds. My name's Tay. I'm here at Lift Arc Studios. I'm in the shop. And I've got a build that I have already started. Wasn't sure I was gonna film, and now I've decided to film because first off, I don't have anything else to film this week, and I wanna keep giving you guys content. Second off, it is interesting and it's a little bit of a departure from some of the ones I've built in the past. So you may have heard me mention in past videos, I don't think we've ever done a dedicated video about it, but we've covered, or at least partially shown, the stainless steel pizza racks that I built for the Benny's pizza chain here in Virginia. They make these giant pizzas, like 28-inch pizzas. So standard like 20, 22-inch pizza racks don't work. So I've come to their rescue. That's putting it largely, but I've come to the rescue to build some giant pizza racks, and instead of a stainless one like we've done a bunch of, we are going to try aluminum, because what is happening is the new pizza screens that you can buy, these guys, are being made out of cheaper and cheaper material, thinner, more fragile, weaker alloys. And when they bang these aluminum pizza screens into the corner of the hard stainless racks that I've been building, they've been chipping and denting and being damaged. Not necessarily anybody's fault, it's just something that they're having to deal with. And they're hoping maybe a rack made from aluminum might solve that problem. So it's been an interesting back and forth because the fellas over at Benny's have hired a new designer and she's doing great, but she sent over this sketch from SketchUp, which is all fine and good until I heard that basically they want it built the exact same way. So really what we're building is this, but out of aluminum. And we are gonna use this as a visual example. These uprights are usually square. We are gonna be using round aluminum pipe for the uprights. So we got a little bit of sort of roll cage work to do. We're gonna have 4 uprights and 4 horizontals, obviously making a cube, but there is a middle upright in the back. So there's technically 5 uprights and 4 horizontals. So I've got my 5 uprights here cut. I've got 2 full-length horizontals here cut, and I've got some leftover pipe to make the 2-piece horizontal either here or here, and I'm actually short on pipe, so I'm gonna use some angle or something. And then we've got some of this 2-inch aluminum angle for the corners that actually hold the pizza pie. We're basically building this rack, but out of aluminum, and instead of square uprights, we're using round. And we're hoping that the round uprights will be a softer corner for when the pizza screen slides in and bounces off the side. And as a happy side effect, not that this was an issue before, this whole thing will be lighter because aluminum's much lighter. And then we'll be making a top from some 1/8-inch aluminum 3003 plate, just because I have that here. I could have gone thinner, but I already had that in stock. Yeah, so we're gonna set up the notcher over here in the vise, my tubing notcher, and we'll put a hole saw in it that fits with this essentially 1-inch. This is schedule 40 pipe, so it's not measured. The OD is not a specific measurement. It's like 0.9 something or other inches. It's just below 1. But a 1-inch hole saw will make a nice notch in this. We will be using the Everlast TIG welder over there to do some aluminum pipe joinery, which will be kind of tricky. I will need to, pipe joinery on tight pipe is real hard because you got to move the torch angle pretty aggressively. But it's all basically 1/8 thick, which is a good thickness. It's kind of bread and butter for the TIG welder I have. It's not going to be the welder's fault if it doesn't turn out well. It's going to be mine because I don't do aluminum every day and I don't do pipe joinery every day. So, but first is the fit up. So I'll clean off the table. I will lay some parts out, study the drawing, go back over my numbers, set up the notcher, notch some pipe, check the fit, check my ODs, check my IDs, and go from there. Here we go, aluminum pizza rack, take 1, Lift Arc Builds. Time to get after it. All right, so I don't know that I've covered this tubing notcher before. So I have the Notch Master from JD Squared. JD Squared makes all kinds of sweet fabrication tools, from CNC plasmas to pipe benders to pipe notchers. Pretty much if you're in the automotive fabrication world, JD Squared has a lot of stuff that you would like to buy. But this is a vise mounted, could be table mounted, but I'm choosing to clamp it in my vise because I like how it feels here. And I'm gonna get it level. When you're doing any sort of notching, bending, it's always nice that your tooling is level. I'm gonna get it set up with the right hole saw here. And the cool part is, most of you probably know what a hole saw is. If you use context clues, it would mean that it's a saw that cuts holes. But instead of it being like a back and forth type saw, you can think of it more as a drill bit, really. I'm chucking up this corded drill because, well, aluminum's not gonna put up much of a fight, but usually you're drilling for a while, so it'd be kind of a pain to change batteries on a cordless drill. I'm walking and talking as if I'm mic'd up, but I know I'm not, so sorry. So we've got the drill here, and you got this sliding axle, and then you've got the hole saw on the end of it. So this is a near 2-inch hole saw that I was using for that pipe. Oh yeah, you would have seen me use this tool on those railings for the fire station. Cut to some of that. But I don't know that I ever talked about it. So to get the drill off, kind of just get something in here. Pop it, you unscrew it. Now there's threads on the end. Now I go through my hole saw kit and I find a 1-inch hole saw. It. That's a hole saw. It's essentially a drill bit that will cut a hole. So instead of boring through all the material inside that hole, you're only cutting a ring of material out. So it's much more efficient. Problem is, it's much easier to damage a hole saw than it is a drill bit. Well, depending on how you're using it. For tube notching, you want your hole saw to be the same diameter as your tube. So this tube again is probably like 0.9 inches. The hole saw itself feels close enough. So that's a 1-inch hole saw. And so that screws on here. Okay. So we've got that set up. That's pretty good, reasonably level. Okay, so we're ready to notch our pipe. I'm gonna sit down, think about the numbers, then we will start laying things out. Might as well be on this table. So I'm gonna clean that too. So this is one frame. This would be the front, top, side, bottom, front. And that joint's not terrible. You know, an experienced aluminum TIG welder could be able to fill that. And I may just, if it makes my life easier, but I do have a tubing notcher, so I'd like to do this right. So what I budgeted for was, here's my number. I want a 28.5 inch gap between the angles for the pizza tray. That leaves a 1/4 inch on either side because the pizza tray is, I think, 28. So then we've got an 1/8 inch thick angle that makes that up. So overall, 28.75. And so I want to notch my piece here to fit. And I've cut them at 29.75, allowing for a 1/2 inch deep tubing notch on either side. So theoretically, if I make a mark on this tube, 1/2 inch in, and I line up that hole saw at the 1/2 inch mark on both sides, blow through, and I set this in here and notch it and fit it, I should be sitting at, well, my interior dimension should be 28.75. Let's try to make that happen. So I think we'll do this live in here. So you pull this back, put this in, we adjust our clamp to be the right size. Okay. That's lovely. I set this to half, draw a line, okay? So I'm drawing a line here. Can you see that? Is that too close? I know you guys want to see what I'm seeing. So we bring our line down. You can see that. Yeah, focus on that. So we bring that in, run that up to it. I'm gonna back it out just a hair. Yeah, so that notch is gonna be right at my 1/2 inch mark. So let's make a notch. Okay, so that is a slightly lopsided notch, but you get the idea. This will fit right around our tube and make a nice thing. So let me show you what's next. So I'm gonna deburr this side real quick. And now I'm gonna load it in this way. So a really important part of tube notching is that you have a pipe like this where there's a notch at each end. Those notches need to be in line with each other, otherwise this joint's not gonna work. So what I have seen done, most of this stuff I learned from Justin over there at the Fabrication series on YouTube. He's really good. And of course this isn't steel, so my magnets don't work. But you run a piece of pipe in the notch you just made, and then you put a piece of level on there, and you sort of just rotate until the level seems happy. Now you know that this notch and this future notch are gonna line up. There you go. So I'm gonna clean that one up and we'll test fit it. I'm obviously going much slower now than I would be, but that's because I wanna show you guys stuff and make this interesting. So now, oh, look at that, it's beautiful. We set our pipe in there and we look at our interior measurement. And we have almost exactly 28 3/4, which is what we want. 1/4 inch will be eaten up by the 2 1/8 inch pieces of angle in here, which leaves 28.5 side to side for our pizza tray. So I'm gonna do that again on the other full size horizontal, and then I'm gonna cut 2 half-length horizontals, because if this were the back frame, there would be another upright just like that, because the pizza trays come in and they need to hit a backstop, and that's what that acts as. If this were the back frame again, you know, this would be two separate pieces, and that would be 2 separate pieces. So I've got enough to do that one and this one, and then the other side, I'm out of pipe, so I'll have to use like I have some 1 inch aluminum angle, which if used appropriately, maybe toward the top where you can't see it, it's gonna be just fine. So yeah, more of the same, coming out pretty good. That is the beauty of a tubing notcher. Weird, right? It does what it says it's supposed to do. So we'll do that again up here. And then like I was saying, if this were the back frame, it would have that vertical, and instead of these being one length, it would be 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece. And then we connect them front to back with those. Actually, I lied. Front to back, they're connected with the angle. Duh, the actual angle, these pieces are what connects them front to back. Okay, more cutting. Okay, as I was saying, some more rudimentary math. So I want 28 3/4 from inside of the notch on the horizontals. Well, on the half piece, I got a 1 inch pipe in the middle. So if I subtract a 1/2 inch here, subtract a 1/2 inch here, because I'll just do that for the notch, that means it's 13 7/8. But my raw cut pre-notch is 14 7/8. And 14 7/8 times 2 is 28 3/4. No, this times 2 is 28 3/4. Anyway, this makes sense to me. Just want to show you guys my thought process. Back to the action. I'm going to cut these guys up and make at least one horizontal and grab some of that angle right there and make the other horizontal. These corner clamps are great. Really simplifies things. And of course the tubing notcher. Always great to use. That was a hard one to figure out. But all my dimensions seem like they're gonna be right. So this is just a bunch of welding waiting to happen, and I'll load that aluminum sheet on the plasma cutter after I draw some parts. Tomorrow's gonna be a busy day. So here we go. See you tomorrow. It just doesn't stop. YouTube just doesn't stop.
Never will.
Hey, if you guys would buy LiftArc merch, let me know in the comments. Because I want to make enough money to not have to work anymore.
Yeah,
was that too on the nose? Would you guys prefer something more eloquent? No, there was that post or story or something I put on Instagram a while ago with me laying in the chair that just said, give me money. That's my whole business model. This isn't what this video is about, but it was an interjection of work that has to do with those lovely railings that Steve and I stayed up so late to build and finish. And I've got to build some returns. This was that whole, you know, here are the drawings to build, and I built those, and then that, you know, the desired design was different, and it doesn't matter. Oh, I'm so f***ing pissed off right now. I don't know code, I'm not a contractor. So here we are. The handrail part just comes out and ended, and it needs to like wrap around and return back to the post. So I'm having to cut off sections of neatly powder coated rail in a finished environment, sawing metal in a finished environment. My own rails, which is even more demoralizing.
Yeah, it's gonna be heartbreaking.
To then add on these parts that I've made with more elbows and whatnot. How have you guys been doing? You all right out there? Another few weeks has gone by, and I've been acutely aware of how little I've responded to YouTube comments. We have hundreds, literally hundreds and hundreds of them rolling in. You can ask all my friends and family, I don't even respond to text messages very well. So, sorry. I read some of them. Walker reads some of them. My girlfriend will read some and tell me about them more than I read them. So keep doing it, thank you. I like when people get into discussion down there, it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my mom reads the comments more often than I do.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I don't like how this one guy said this thing. He was just nasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, well, yep.
Just if for no other reason, maybe for Walker's mom's sake, don't, you know, hold him back. And ever since we did the video of like blasting comments, I feel like comments have been really positive.
Yeah, I know.
Because they realize that I'm just gonna flame them. Yeah,
there's an upward trend.
Any chance I can get. So I'm gonna put this on hold and get back to this for you guys.
By the way, solo stove surrounds.
Oh yeah, so update on these. So you guys have seen me talk about these solo stove surrounds. This one's for the Yukon, the big one. If you don't know what this is or what a solo stove is, then watch this video, that video. This was an idea originally by my buddy Brent Cochran here locally. He had a solo stove and small kids and a dog, and he wanted a way to separate them from the heat, somewhere you could rest your feet, maybe s'mores, you know, cooking, whatever, and make it more than a stainless cylinder in your yard. So since then, thanks to Brent's idea, your royalty check's in the mail, buddy, if you're watching. It's not. I've made probably a dozen or two of these. I've tried to ship a few. I have shipped a few. I hate shipping, and I almost refuse to ship them anymore just because I don't want to deal with it. But we can work out terms. You have to email me. I took that option off the website because I couldn't find a way to get it to calculate accurate shipping based on different locations. So I had to remove that. I use a service called UShip, which is like Uber for shipping, where you can list something that you want to ship. Then an independent shipper, man with a van, person with a van, can say, here's my quote to move that to where you want it to go. That's the only way I really want to ship these, because the bonfire ones and the smaller one I can box technically and bring to UPS, but that's a pain in the butt. And I don't have a shipping department. So I guess what I'm saying is, I still like to build these for people. I think they're great. They add a lot to your solo stove, but you gotta email me for shipping. Or if you're driving through Roanoke, or if you know someone driving through Roanoke, or you wanna arrange your own pickup and drop off, that's preferred. If you haven't listen to the latest episode of the Black Dog Salvage podcast, definitely do that. Dad and I have rebooted the podcast, just he and I, with our own equipment, so that it's less moving parts as possible. We can just sit down and talk. So the next episode that we record tomorrow will be about season 1, episode 1, The Izzard House. If you're a fan of the show, get it wherever. I officially uploaded my first podcast that ended up on Spotify.
That's cool.
Like I pushed the button and made it all happen, and I'm like, cool, I know how to do that now.
Yeah, that's gotta be a cool feeling.
Yeah, so it's all here.
Wow.
As if I needed more to do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd love to just sit at the computer all day. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I hated it.
Yeah. Careful what you wish for.
Don't listen to me.
Also, if you happen to own a company that makes welding jackets, it appears that Tay is in dire need of...
Yeah, hit me up. Miller, Milwaukee, Lincoln. I don't like your welders, but if you want to send me a welding jacket, that's cool.
Cut that out of the video.
So this is where we left off. I've got one side of the frame, the front, let's call it. This is the front. It's not drawn to scale, there'll be one more in the back. Clamped in these corner clamps, and you guys saw me notch everything. So I'm gonna convert my TIG welder to do aluminum, do a few practice beads, and then we'll tack it up. Woo. And really all I'm gonna try to do today, the next hour and a half, is tack everything together, cut a few pieces of angle, use the 4 pieces of angle to hold it together. And then Mr. Wyatt's here. At least now the intro graphics make sense. Wyatt's actually in an episode.
Yeah, wow. There it is.
Made a new animation in the front of the episodes for YouTube.
And then you disappeared.
Co-starring Wyatt Allen.
Yeah.
And you just weren't an idiot.
Well, I'll be here more often.
Yay.
Yeah, you got some stuff you're gonna bring in anyways.
We just need a big cardboard cutout of you in the background of all.
Setting up my torch for aluminum. Well, aluminum and I aren't best friends yet, but we try.
A lot of editing to do now.
Yeah.
I need something to do.
Alright, love y'all.
See you, man.
Safe.
That looks like shizzle. All right, we're cruising now.
Ooh, yeah. Look at that.
I'm gonna get picked apart on the internet, but whatever. Some of the worst welding I've ever done.
It's only because I'm here, you know?
I hate it. I hate it. It's so not good. Did I clean it well? No. Did I wipe it down? No. Have I done this in a while? No. Should I be hard on myself? No. Am I? Yes.
Yeah.
Should I continue to see a therapist? Yes.
Me too.
Do I? No.
Why? They're expensive.
Yeah. Why? I'm cheap.
Yeah.
And 2, I'm lazy.
Uh-huh.
I'd rather be sad.
Yeah. It's cheaper to be sad.
Yeah, being cheap is being cheap is sad, and being sad is cheap. How about that? Need to be hotter, faster. So I'm just gonna floor it and see what happens. Not terrible.
Hey.
Not great, but not shitty.
Rapid improvement.
Lift Arc Studios, not shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, we're motoring now, folks.
Look at that.
You'd never guess that I haven't done this in a while. Wait, yeah, you will. Oh, it's just getting better and better. Yeah! Not sucking, especially when you started off sucking, feels so good.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my favorite quotes from a children's cartoon is, "Sucking is the first step to being kind of good at something."
Yeah, damn right. And dude, if someone would say that I'm kind of good at welding, that's all I'm really looking for. Kind of shitty. Oh, right. I didn't clean the metal first. Learn your lessons. I think I stated before that I kind of ran out of pipe, so these top pieces are going to be angled here. All right, so we've got the frames tacked together. That back one needs to be straightened a little bit. But, so now the angle iron is gonna go, or angle aluminum is gonna go this way. And that's what's gonna hold them together front to back. So I'm gonna try to cut a few pieces. Overall, it's going well. I've been a little scatterbrained this week, which, God, people watching this channel must be like, again, this week too? Yeah, man. I don't know, just trying to focus. But it's okay. I'm actually in a position where I have a lot of work sitting in my inbox. Sorry if you're one of the people waiting for me to get back to them. But I'm just taking on as much as I can keep up with while keeping things simple right now. I think I pushed really hard this year, and I'm enjoying maybe kind of, you know, taking my foot off the gas for a minute and just doing okay financially and like just working as hard as I want to work. I'll hit there. It's got to go halfway there, halfway there. So, in case you haven't figured it out yet, these will be going in here. And I'm trying to, because normally we do this at a square so you can bump it right to the edge, but if you did it all the way to the edge, once round, you have this weird thing. So I have to account for setting it in a little bit like that. So I have to take a little off each side. 7. What did I cut it? 27 means that I'll lose a ½ inch here because it hits that, but I'll gain a ½ inch here. I feel like I should be smaller. Better safe than sorry. All this rigmarole is so that I don't want the pizza screen to sit flush with the front piece. I want it to stick out past a little bit so you can have something to grab on to pull the pizzas out. So that's all about. So I got 4. Now it's starting to look like a pizza rack. It will have a top, which will get welded to these. So I think I am going to transition to the fixture table so I can clamp everything upright, get it where I want it. And I got to pee. Pee break. Pee break. Hello YouTube. I've had coffee for the first time in a while and I am vibrating. Okay, so the casters came in for this rack. We've got 2 stationary stainless casters, thermoplastic rubber, and 2 swivel with brakes. These are the standard casters that I've always put on these racks. They're real nice. When I make the racks out of stainless, I can just weld this plate straight to it. But because I'm building these racks out of aluminum, I cannot do that. So I have traced this flange on some paper, and I've taken a top-down picture of it with my phone, and I'm gonna transfer it into Fusion here. Okay, so we're in Fusion now, and so I like this technique. This is kind of dumb. I'm just now realizing that this is kind of dumb because I should just measure in real life. This is actually more of a technique for something that's not like a regular shape. In this case, I'm literally drawing a rectangle, which I can do without any help. So let's just do that, shall we? Trying to get that corner to line up. Should be fine because it's literally just straight. All right, so there's our top. It's gonna be bent out of 1/8 inch aluminum in my brake back there. And we can create a flat pattern using this face. Boom. So this is now the shape that will be sent to the plasma cutter. So we can export this flat pattern as a DXF. 32x32 top flat pattern. Save that, come back in here, open that, and of course, it imports every freaking thing right on top of what I was already working on. Boom. So now we delete these bend lines because those aren't real. I will make them up in real time. Okay, we'll toolpath that, bango, and we'll put it down yonder. Okay, there we go. We're ready to send this to the cutter. Saved it. I'm gonna go turn everything on and cut. We also need to weld, so I wanna finish this rack today. So let's do it. Alrighty, I'm gonna use this table. I'm gonna make some stops. Hold this side in a little bit. Do some thinking. Got some heavy pieces of metal over here I could probably use. Welcome back. Time lapse this, whatever. I think we got it, folks. Kind of a rudimentary clamper downer system, but I think it's gonna do just fine. So we'll check square. What are the chances that this is square here? 40 and 7/16. 40, oh man, that's within a 16th square. I'd say that's perfect. All right, so I'm gonna cut the rest of these angles. I'm gonna clean the ends of them, clean off the oxide layer on the end here, fire up the welder, and get ready to cruise. Then we'll cut our plates, we'll cut our top, we'll weld the plates to the bottom, we'll bolt the casters on, we'll weld the top on, not necessarily in that order, and then we're done. All right, there it is. Everything's tacked up. It is super, super light compared to the stainless version. I'm gonna weld these up. We'll weld my joints here, weld those out. I'm gonna weld this first so that that holds together and fully weld all this stuff out. But yeah, Walker's here. He's editing the video that you're watching right now. And pretty soon I'll take the 4x8 sheet, put it on the plasma over there, and cut out the parts that I drew earlier. But let's do some welding, see how this works. All right, shout out Shop Saver. Haven't shouted them out in a while. Been loving the table so far. Hell, I'm 2 years into owning it now and it hasn't skipped a beat. Gave her a clean the other day, re-greased everything. It's all happy, hunky-dory. We're gonna be cutting 11 gauge aluminum. We're gonna be using 45 amp consumables. I still have the traditional torch set up, not the sink consumables with the hypertherm. It takes these kind, you know. So, I believe I've got a 45 in there. I will check that. I'll turn that on. I'll purge my drain on my air compressor and then get to cutting. Here we go. Hello viewers, we're gonna finish this rack up. But I came in this morning and I was frustrated with what was happening yesterday when I was welding all this aluminum. And I tried some things and I'm having a lot more success. So for starters, the torch I was using was one that came with the Everlast. I don't know who makes it, but this flex head torch is one that I bought from CK Worldwide. So it's really nice, the head can bend. And I've got a gas lens on it, mid-size back cap, my own trigger, and all that kind of thing. One thing I was doing is I was outrunning my electrode yesterday. So I'm running a 3/32 electrode, and that's the tungsten piece here. They're only really good for about 150 amps, and I was pushing it past 200. So the electrode itself was like splitting out, kind of like frays and stuff. But so, weirdly, when you dial back the amperage to the electrode that you're using, the proper voltage, a nice little ball forms like it's supposed to with aluminum. Also, I was using a sort of traditional style torch with a traditional cup, no gas lens, just a collet. This one is a gas lens. In here, there's a little screen. And the screen is where the gas flows through, the argon, the shielding gas. And so with a gas lens, comes out as a nice column of gas versus a traditional collet body sprays it everywhere. So I'm running about 15 CFH on my flow meter for the gas. I'm using a gas lens and I've got it dialed back now to 130 amps, a really high frequency. So the frequency on an AC, when you're welding AC with a TIG welder, is sort of how you focus the arc. So a low frequency will spread the arc out and it'll, you get a little more, kind of heats a bigger area. So it's good for like a lap joint, butt joint, something that's flat on the surface. And as you increase that frequency, it narrows the arc. So like when you're doing an inside corner joint or any sort of joint where you need the arc to kind of stay focused and make it into the joint, it's good to raise your frequency up. So I went to gas lens, a smaller, this is a 17 series torch versus a big ass 26 series I was welding. So it's a smaller torch, flex head, smaller headpiece. I can run a little bit more stick out with a gas lens. So it allows me to be able to get into tighter areas better. And I'm just having a lot more success today. So I should have been running this all day. My settings were 130 amps, 40% cleaning, 180 hertz on the frequency, 15 CFH on my flow meter. I'm running a downslope. So I'm using the trigger, and then when I hit, you know, it strikes the arc. And then when I let off, I'm running a 1 second downslope. So as soon as I let off the trigger, the arc will go from whatever volt amperage I have it on, slowly to off. And with aluminum, it's nice because if you're just welding and you shut the arc off immediately, it can cause craters, it can cause cracks. You want to taper it off and really control my heat without having to use a foot pedal. Back to scheduled programming. I just wanted to let you guys know, because I'm gonna get some comments inevitably about like, you should have been using this setting, you should have been using that torch, you should be this, that, and the other. I know, you can't think of everything all the time. So anyway, this is where we're at. It's upside down right now. So we're gonna clean it up. We're gonna grind that flat, clean these up, weld those on. Casters go on, we'll make the top. We'll bend the top, already cut it, and weld that on and we're done. Here we go, let's finish strong. So we've got a little bit of a rocky rock, but that's okay because now is when I can fix it. It's pretty inevitable that once you build a thing and weld it completely, that it's gonna move some. So this has moved a little bit. So all that means is that if I let that leg sit up like that and just fill that gap with weld, then it'll sit flat and it'll be perfectly level. Almost perfect. Perfect enough. No,
Is it my understanding that welding kind of pulls things together?
That's right. Welding, like if I had two pieces coming together at a 90, like this, and I weld in that gap, it'll pull them together like that. Because when metal cools, it contracts. So you're adding the metal in while it's molten, and then as it cools, it pulls. So now, I've got these combo squares set. I'm trying to center this plate on this pipe. So I've got one set for that margin, and I've got one set for this margin. So now I know that plate is dead center. 150 amps at 180 hertz. Let's see if I can fill this inside corner joint. Not bad for metal that I didn't clean properly.
It's a theme for this video.
Yeah. Might be the worst tack I've ever done in my life.
That seems like a tricky spot though.
Yeah. Better. Pretty bad. Okay. We're all tacked on. We're getting close. Remember how much labor I put on this job? Of course, I haven't been working on it straight. Because one, I have ADD, and two, that's pretty much it.
One, two, what was I talking about?
Yeah. Update.
Is that the police?
That was the common, I just got a phone call from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. An update on the break-in. So, God, this video is already so long. I went to a preliminary hearing a while ago to see the Commonwealth of Virginia v. case. I had to testify, give my accounts of what happened. I then submitted the video evidence to the Commonwealth Attorney. When you say someone v. a state, this is the state appointed, the attorney that represents the state of Virginia in court. So, right. Unfortunately, Mr. the guy that broke in, he's rather old, and he has been diagnosed with cancer, and he's of course been in jail since arrested to await the court hearings, and he's been found guilty. He's going to plead guilty on 2 counts, grand larceny and a commercial breaking and entering. So for all those people out there that said you should file charges, I don't think you fully understand how the penal system works, because that's 2 counts. That's a lot. I mean, I think he's looking at time, and you know, obviously he wouldn't be able to pay restitution, which is money to repay me for my damages. You know. So shout out to the Roanoke City court system. They are handling it. The Commonwealth attorney was very nice. He gave me the option to dictate how aggressively we should, you know, pursue things. And of course, it's kind of hard it'd be almost inhuman to pursue serious charges when you hear that the defendant is rather old and is likely going to
pass away
in jail already because he's sick. So that's a rather sad story.
Yeah.
But that's where that is. And but he also told me that I don't have to go to court. They already reached an agreement.
Oh, thank God.
So.
That's probably the best news.
Yeah, I don't have to go to court in the middle of the day now. So, hey, back to welding and happy times. Guess I didn't weld these.
Yeah. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. He's improving.
Be a real shame if it was going the other way. Can you turn that middle knob left?
150.
You're the worst welder ever. God, you're terrible. Go home. Cleans up all right.
It looks much better now.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of people out there that are gonna be like, you dipped the tungsten, the weld is contaminated, it's not as strong. This is holding pizzas, okay? Pizzas, it's gonna be fine. But you suck, I know, okay? I know I'm bad. I don't know why these people hire me. Oh no, I'm fine, I still got it. All right, so now I'm just on the hunt for like unfinished welds, little gaps I want to fill, little holes where dirt and grime can live. You're terrible. You're so bad. You're the worst welder ever. Technically I could be done, but I need to put all the flat bars in, so. It's the job that never ends. Let's see if we can bend this thing without destroying it. Or let's see if we can bend it at all, because this brake is made for 18 gauge steel. This is 1/8 inch aluminum, so we're thicker, but aluminum's softer. So hopefully this will work. I've bent 1/8 inch aluminum in this before, but not a pieces. What do all good machinists say? If it doesn't go, then force it? Yeah. That is not what any machinists say. Just to be clear. It's a good bend though. I'll take that. I'll take that all day long. Let's keep it going. Wow, Tay, that was pretty bad. Nice top. Now we're just gonna weld the corners and weld it on our stand. We got ourselves a pizza rack, ladies and gentlemen. All right, there it is. Let me take you through it. So 2 things. 1, that is not the hardware I'll be using for those. I don't have stainless hardware, which is what's needed, and the carriage bolts will be upside down. So this is just to mock it up. I'll also be welding in flat bar in the front, but we're out of time for this video, and I'm almost out of time for the day. So for now, this is the end. Really pleased with how this came out. Aluminum, as always, offers its own challenges, but I really should have switched to this torch a long time ago because I would have gone a lot smoother. But all in all, I'm pleased with my welds. I think, you know, it's pretty obvious if someone knows what they're looking at that I don't do this every day. But for a guy who messes with a bunch of different types of material and a bunch of different projects and whatever, I'm quite pleased. And it's certainly passable as far as restaurant equipment is concerned. The top will be brushed like I did those signs, so that'll be smoothed out and made uniform. But yeah, I think they'll be very pleased with it. The whole goal here was to ease this corner here and use a softer material in general. So I think we've achieved that and it looks great. So here's some beauties. All right, well, as always, thank you so much for watching. Walker worked up until the last minute to finish this video, you know, because as I'm shooting this shot right now, it's almost 3 o'clock on Friday. So really appreciate everything you guys do to support the channel. Please consider giving us a like, a comment, a subscribe. If you don't do it for me, do it for Walker, because he's the one that makes these videos happen. Appreciate it, help support the mission over here. And I'm gonna do my best to get some merch out there for the holiday season, starting with stickers. So that I can guarantee, because I have them in stock. By the time you're watching this, stickers are for sale online on liftartstudios.com. Go grab a sticker, help support us, and soon enough, I'll be getting some tall size t-shirts, maybe some other things. Gonna work that merch thing out because so many of you awesome people have requested it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been Tay here at Lift Arc Studios, Lift Arc Builds. We'll see you next week. Enjoy, have a good weekend.